So, quick little disclaimer about this video. I recorded this on January 16th, so it's you know, it's a little late to the party, but I wanted to get, like, proper videos out before I put out a video like this, because I just thought it would make more sense. So even though this is, like, slightly outdated, that's not all that unusual for this fucking channel anyway, so, yeah, I'm aware we're late. Hey everybody, Chris Raygun here. Welcome to another episode of Glasses Off. It's been a while since we've done a video like this, but I feel like this is one of those situations where it was a little bit more necessary for me to just kind of give you an unfiltered take, like an unfiltered real take on a situation, as opposed to just making kind of like a big jokey video about it. I did briefly joke about this subject in the most recent recap that I did, and it's a joke that pissed a lot of people off. Trump got banned from every single social media site in existence, except for OnlyFans, which, you know, that should scare you. Not because he got banned from everything, but because he can still go there. That's a safe haven for him, and hopefully not his asshole.
Wow, Chris, I can't believe you're making fun of the fact that Donald Trump got banned off all social media when you pretend to care about big tech having too much power. As far as I'm aware, you can only hold one of those opinions at once.
But seriously though, what kind of flimsy stance are you taking against big tech censorship if you think it's fine Trump got deplatformed? I saw this sentiment a lot, which is sincerely baffling, because I never in the video said it was fine. I just sort of joked about it. If I was fine with everything I made jokes about, I would be one of the most deplorable supervillains the world has ever seen. This really isn't a complicated concept, the idea that you can joke about something without inherently condoning the thing that you're joking about, so I have to assume that anybody with this particular criticism of my video is doing so purely to be intentionally angry. Like, you have to just be deliberately looking for a reason to be mad that I criticized your idol, and that is the most respectful interpretation of that criticism that I could have, or that I could find, because any other interpretation of that criticism would be, you know, far meaner. That's not really what I want to focus on here, though, and I just kind of wanted to get that criticism out of the way before we moved into the actual meat of the discussion, which is, of course, you know, Trump's ban from every single social media platform that exists. So, obviously, following the riot at Capitol Hill, President Trump was banned on basically every single social media platform. He was banned on, you know, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, in case he decides to drop an EP or something. I guess he can't do that now. It's a little weird. Now, a lot of the justification for this kind of hinges on whether or not you believe Trump egged on the rioters at Capitol Hill. And based on how he was talking before shit hit the fan, I would personally say he engaged in a lot of doublespeak. He did a lot of, like, oh, you know, these terrible people, these terrible thieves, these vagabonds who've stolen our election from us. How evil of them to do such a thing. These evil people, shame on our democracy. Someone should do something about this, but also be peaceful. It's the difference between, like, poking a lion with a stick and just crawling into its mouth. Like, just because poking a lion with a stick and crawling directly in its mouth aren't exactly the same things doesn't mean you still aren't deliberately putting yourself in a situation that will inevitably leave you all kinds of fucked up. My personal opinion, my read on the situation, is that he kind of knew exactly what he was doing, but I think legally speaking, he kind of used enough weaselly words in such a way that I don't think you could really find him legally responsible for what happened. It's a very weaselly way of speaking, believe me, I'm really familiar with it. It's a very New York way of speaking. So I'm coming at this from the perspective of, yeah, he egged on the people at Capitol Hill to break into the Capitol, and he broke Twitter's terms of service. And even though I believe all of those things, I do have an issue with how this was handled. The big thing here to me is that he was essentially preemptively banned from a lot of platforms that had nothing to do with what it is that he was doing. Him being banned from Twitter, that's really not all that outrageous to me. People are banned from Twitter for breaking TOS all the time, and those people who get banned have done far less than Trump has done, and they're not even capable of doing as much as Trump is capable of doing. So that to me is, like, not the biggest problem here. The main issue I have here ultimately is with all of these other companies jumping on board, even though he didn't break TOS on those other platforms. Some of them I'm pretty sure he doesn't even use, like Shopify banned him, I'm pretty sure. Like, what, so he can't buy things from Shopify? Now, obviously, I'm not a conservative, so I'm not being a massive hypocrite when I say that these big tech companies are, like, far too powerful to operate solely as private businesses. Hey, what's up?
What's up, you two?
I'm doing a little video. What are you up to? Doing your little clothes there?
Yeah, some little television.
That's-
Stream right now?
Huh?
Stream right now?
No, I'm just doing a video. That's whatever. I think the internet should be a right, personally, but I know that there are a lot of ISP cucks out there who love having their prostates tickled by the cold baby arm of subpar internet quality and data caps. Yes, I will kink shame you. But seriously, social media is, in my opinion, the new public square, especially in a pandemic where it's essentially our only remaining functioning public square. So when all of these companies headed by unelected billionaires can just gather and just simultaneously decide that a person is no longer allowed to participate in society, I just think at the very least that's an ominous thing. Now, obviously, just like a real public square, there are rules. Terms of service act kind of as the law in that respect. You know, if you break the law, you're removed from society. You're no longer entitled to the public square. If you break TOS, you get kicked off the platform and you're no longer entitled to the public square. That makes sense. Totally get it. But the precedent of somebody being banned from platforms that they don't even use preemptively, based on the assumption that, I don't know, maybe they're just a toxic person, or maybe that they could potentially break TOS in the future, that to me is off-putting in a time where, you know, social media is really dictating a lot of how we communicate and a lot of the conversations that we're having in our personal lives in real life. And I already know in the middle of saying this that people are going to make this about Trump. It's like, why do you feel bad for Trump? Why are you defending Trump? And it's like, I don't really care about Trump in this situation. It really is more about the unelected rich dudes who have demonstrated a concerning amount of power over our society here. Sure, it took a siege on the United States Capitol for them to resort to the nuclear option, and maybe that's a good thing, that it took something so unfathomably hilarious and outlandish for them to resort to this kind of thing. Maybe that's kind of a good thing. But at the same time, I think the only reason they waited this long in the first place, and they waited for something like this to happen, is because they know that they can't do it to really powerful people without it causing a big stink in the media. Twitter and YouTube, like, on their own, already silence like a number of people on a daily basis for like ridiculous reasons. Like I know a lot of left-wing accounts who have just been completely purged off of plenty of platforms. The Surfs just got their YouTube channel taken down, like with no notice. And that's like a really left-wing channel that has had issues with me in the past. Like I don't think they like me very much. But the fact that they were just kind of taken off with no explanation, that's concerning. Because not only is social media for a lot of us like the new public square, but for many of us it's employment as well. The idea that you could not only be removed from the social fabric in such a way, but also just completely be kicked out of your livelihood with no warning and no explanation, I don't know, man. These companies are too big. Like, this needs regulation here. And the fact that all of these sites decided to do it to Trump at once. And again, it's not about Trump. It's not about this person. It's about the precedent of all of these people just sort of unanimously coming together and deciding this person does not deserve to participate in society now. That feels like a genie out of the bottle situation to me, especially because they're being cheered on for it, and maybe they won't be as judicious with how they use it in the future. Because, like, sure, storming the Capitol because your guy lost an election is a really stupid reason to storm the Capitol. It's a really delusional and dangerous reason to do anything like that. But like, what happens when we do have a good reason? Because, like, I would argue that the government saying $600 in COVID relief after 6 months of no aid, the fact that they thought that was like significant or like a good thing, I personally thought that was a good reason to storm the Capitol. So if like super left-wing people had like organized a march on the Capitol in response to the government failing to take care of their own people, and maybe things got out of hand, would the people who were speaking up about that, would they be then unpersoned? Would they be then taken off the internet? I don't know. I don't know if I trust tech companies to make that decision. I don't know, guys. Just because a billionaire experiencing misfortune gives me a bit of a smile, it doesn't mean I'm really all that happy about this. The only real silver lining here is that we don't get to see, we get to completely avoid all of those Trump reply guys, the people who simp for him in his mentions, talking about how, oh my god, he's the best president in the world, I love him so much, fuck my mom, and the other people who like can't stand him, who reply to every tweet like, oh my god, you're the worst person, as if Trump is even reading those, as if Trump is even capable of hearing a perspective that isn't his. I don't trust billionaires like Zuckerberg with this amount of power for the same reason I don't trust Trump with the presidency. I find it difficult to trust ridiculously rich people with jurisdiction over policy or the direction of the conversation, no matter how ridiculous that conversation gets. I've also seen a lot of comments saying that, like, voicing this concern about big tech is dog whistling to the right, which doesn't make any sense to me, because the concern that is being laid out here is the fact that rich people have too much power over our lives, and that powerful corporations like Google, Twitter, Facebook, these need to be strictly regulated. I don't see how that's right-wing. I think it's actually super damaging that right and left have been defined largely by minuscule, like, kind of cultural differences between them. It's no longer about policy anymore. Now it's like, oh, you like to use the word retarded, so you're right-wing. Or, oh, you believe that gays are just normal people like anybody else, so therefore you're, like, a socialist. The conversation has, like, nothing to do with actual, like, policy positions or actual political beliefs. It's all about just, like, how you conduct yourself in your daily life. It's such a stupid situation that we found ourselves in. I get that a lot of people who might be taking the big tech critique angle on this might have huge overlap with the delusionists who thought the election was stolen, and I get that you might not want to associate yourselves with those people, but a genuine issue raised by an incorrect motive is still a genuine issue, and, you know, I don't know, I just think a valid criticism is a valid criticism, regardless of who it comes from. Whether you're on the right wing or the left wing, big tech is too powerful. Like, it just fucking is. And I don't know. I'm canceled by everybody pretty much, so I don't mind voicing this, in my opinion, obvious concern. Hopefully this isn't a slippery slope, but, you know, we'll see in due time. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me today. Hopefully you were able to hear me out if you disagreed. If not, I guess that's cool too. I can't help you. I really don't do many videos like this anymore because I really am just trying to have fun with this channel at this point, but I felt like this was, you know, pertinent to my career and pertinent to my job on a you know, as an internet, I don't know, comedian? Influencer? I hate the term influencer because it's really creepy. It was relevant to my interests, I guess. But yeah, anyway, there's going to be a new Weird Wide Web soon. There's going to be a political rap cringe video very soon. I'm going to be doing some more video game oriented stuff. Obviously, you can check out the links in the description to get social media, all the podcasts and whatnot. And I'll see you next time, assuming we survive the coming weeks. Thanks for listening.